corpses. Guess what time it is? It is time to make our mold from the latex master copy. And the reason why I want to do that is because we're going to make the smaller version of the mask. As you can see behind it is the original size sculpture. And this is what happens. Let me show you. I'm waiting for my plaster to completely saturate. But while I'm doing that, I'm going to show you the difference in size. Hopefully you can see that whole thing. It's huge. This is huge. See how much that shrunk up from that master mold that I made from this master copy. And that shrunk up that much. So now what I have to do is make another version, another mold from this, and it'll shrink. Then when I put latex in it, this mask that's in the new mold will shrink up even more. And it'll give us probably around 24.5 to 25 inch mask. I don't think I can make these masks, the smaller version, I can't make them too thick, because if I make the masks too thick, the shrinkage will keep going and it'll shrink up too much on you. If you're getting the big mask, the large mask, I usually make them very thick. Because I want them to shrink up a little bit more. So that master copy that you're that you're looking at, the reason why it shrunk so significantly is because the actual latex is very thick. I made a very thick copy of that mask. Okay, I'm completely saturated, as you can see, perfectly. See how it's all dark? And it's got all the water I need. Let's just start mixing it by hand. Now the other thing I'm doing with this master is there's no need for burlap. Because I'm not making a master copy, I'm sorry. I'm making just the mold from the master copy. And you're only going to get about 20 pulls from the master copy anyway, or from the mold. The new mold will only do about 20 pulls, and then I'll have to make another mold. That's how that works. Well, I let this saturate nicely. It's really smooth, but thick. Okay. This is pretty thick. So what I want to do is go wash my hand. I'll have no need to touch this plaster today because I'm not going to be putting burlap on it. And I don't want to get this stuff all over my table. The other thing I always recommend people to do, if you have a Lazy Susan, especially if it's made out of wood, water will make it warp, and the Lazy Susan won't spin, and that's where I'm at right now. This won't spin, and it's driving me crazy because I've got to do this. And I put a spray release on here. I put the 2300. That's what I did. I put this 2300 spray release on here. Now the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that I got a complete coat on everything, especially into the eye sockets, and really push it in there. Don't leave no air bubbles or pockets, because once this stiffens up, that's the outermost that is the outermost surface, and then you always want to look for bad spots. Now I'm trying to keep all the plaster right on here because I put Vaseline all over the top of this thing to protect it from um, I'm really making sure that I get everything up into the nooks and crannies, especially nose holes. And as I build this up, now the toughest part on this entire mold is the under the chin, which is right up underneath it here. And what you want to do is make sure that that's well coated and just let it pile up until it meets that surface. And once this thing weighs down a little bit, we won't have any problems with it trying to shift or move. Just got to make sure that there's no air pockets. And this will be the I made this plaster a little thicker so it sticks and grabs real good. I don't want any bad spots. That's for sure. What's cool about this, when you get to this point with this kind of mask or mold, is the fact that it no longer I'm losing my train of thought. Don't mind me. I had a little wacky weed this morning, and it's because I was in so much pain, and I have medical wacky weed. Hippie lettuce. So I'm not doing anything illegal. I know it's legal in Jersey anyway, but it always feels like you're still crossing the line. But I had to get medical marijuana for my back. I never smoked dope or did any of that stuff when I was young. Probably lucky because of the heart condition and stuff that was underlying that nobody knew about. So, with that being said, you just never know, guys. You never know. So, if it wasn't for this wacky weed that I'm on right now, I don't think I could get this thing done today, because that's how bad the pain was. The weird thing was, last night I felt absolutely great. Yesterday during the day I felt terrible. Alright, I have to jump to the other side of the camera to get behind the mask. Because my lazy Susan isn't spinning. And that's terrible. I gotta get into the logo real good. Now, once this is a hard shell, this is going to be easy to finish off. And since there's no burlap, it's going to be even easier. The first coat, you want to make sure, since it's the runniest coat, is you want to make sure that you're completely covered. You don't want any. All right, back to the other side. Maybe. Now, as this coat thickens, as this plaster thickens, I'm going to put a lot of the thicker stuff underneath that chin. This process does not take long at all with the latex mask, because this doesn't take long at all. See, it's already hardening on the surface here, right where I did that. This is awesome. And I wish I could spin this thing, because it would be a lot easier, and you would see a lot more other than just the one corner of the mask. And I can't move it now that I've started this. I just did the same thing on this side as I'm going to do this right now. Just closing in those eyes real good. Still sagging a little bit, so kind of pull up on it. Chin again. We're going to pile it on top of the head now while it's thinning, or thickening, so to speak. I like to make my molds at least 1.5 to 2 inches thick, because they need to absorb moisture. You watch the air pockets. You still don't want air pockets, because that weakens the mold. Take a look under there. Just trying to avoid pockets. It's starting to not sag. It's perfect. Won't have too much working time with this. Really piling it on behind the ear too. I'm probably going to make 2 batches. Get this whole thing done. We get to the other side. See, I'm trying to make sure that I have plenty under and over the ear. Now, the real goal gotta work fast now. More importantly, I'm also trying to keep my coat even. I want it just as thick everywhere. I don't want it to be thick one area and then not on another. So what I'll do is now start pulling that up inside of here. I gotta get to the other side. Where this hardens. It's not sagging, that's good. What I'm doing, I'm pushing that up into the chin, up under it, because it has to have the support and it also has to be thick. It can't be. So this mold will be a lot smoother too. I'll be able to smooth this out a lot more. Once it hardens just a little bit. But I gotta be careful. Warning, remember, it's only a latex mask under there. It's not the hard, not real hard surface. This mold has to be fairly hardened before you can start pushing on it. You better make sure it's thick. I used all that really well. What I'm going to do here, I'm going to use what's in there too. I'm going to This will be easier to fill. Making sure I don't feel any. Okay. Let's go clean the bucket before it hardens up on me. I'm going to let that harden just a little bit so I can smooth it out. Clean that brush too real good. Clean that brush real good because I don't want to reuse brushes. Not a good thing. Now I'll make the rib real nice too. I'm going to go with less this time. I don't mind doing a third coat. I don't mind doing a third coat. I want to go less because that bucket was really full. It was pushing the boundaries of what I was able to do. So we're going to go probably like 18 ounces of water this time instead of 24 ounces. So here's my little scraper blade. And all I'm doing here is cleaning up the outer edge. Once that hardens, that'll come right off of there. And I keep Vaseline on here to make it so it's nice and clean. Still can't push on this yet, it's too soft. Remember, if I push hard on this, it's going to deform the latex mask underneath. It's only foam filled. It's not hard, not a hard surface. So until that plaster's hard, you can't push on that. Firming up. Love it. Everything's working out nicely today. Beautiful weather too. We've got a nice stiff breeze. I don't want a lot of this stuff on my tabletop. Alright, you got a general idea. You clean up your action around the base. The next coat, after this hardens up pretty good, I'll be able to fill in all those little crevices and it captured, it's got all the details now. That's what your first coat is a detail cast mold. It's for the details. The next is to fill it in and smooth it out, and also make it thicker so it absorbs the moisture. You gotta remember, you need at least, I'm gonna say 2-inch mold. 2 inches thick is a safe bet to really absorb moisture. So I might be able to get 20 pulls out of this, 25 maybe, because the one thing about Michael Myers is it doesn't have a ton of like cracks and details that can wash out. So this mold might last me a lot longer than I realize, but I won't. I'll be making one mask at a time. I'm not going to be making a whole bunch of masks at once. The people that want a mask, Crusher, and I'm working a deal with somebody to do some work for me. And I'm going to give you your guys, I'm going to make your masks as soon as I get done this, because you need the small version. Correct me if I'm wrong. All right, so I'll take the phone off the thing right now. And we'll go sit down for a sec. And we'll do a once over on this whole thing. We're going to take a look at this, especially see up underneath that chin real good. I want to make sure that there's no bad spot there. Yeah, I think I'll be able to see that fine once this hardens. I can tilt it back too. I don't have to keep it right on the surface here. See, I'll have to make sure this is right where the eye is. I have to make sure that that's filled in real thick. As long as the details are captured, the ear's pretty thick. It's a good looking mold. Wow, 5 people on with me? Say hello, guys. All right, let's see what you got to say. Crusher. Message retracted. Yes, this is going to be your small version, Crusher. And Pipe Master, this is going to be the small version. This should shrink up to about 24 and a half to 25 inches. Maybe even 25 and a half. It depends on the thickness of the mask and the type of latex that I have. Now, I get my latex out of Texas at Biddy Mold, and like they dry out. But that's the thing. You want to make sure that you whenever you wear this mask, if you're one of these people who are going to wear it, or you're going to just keep it on the shelf. If you're going to keep it on the shelf, I would powder the inside. I'd actually do Armor All on the whole thing, inside and out. Then I would powder the inside because that stops UV light from hurting the Armor All will help with UV light. That'll keep your mask from getting messed up. And if there's a better product out there that's actually better, Armor All is pretty good. It's what you use in your car. So I put the Armor All on the outside, and I usually use cornstarch on the inside. And it doesn't hurt to put the cornstarch on the outside too once the Armor All is dry thoroughly. Once the Armor All is completely dry, put the cornstarch on the outside of the mask as well. Just a light little bit, you know what I mean? Just a light dusting. So, it won't cover your paint job. Like, I'm saying after the mask is completely done. Now, you can't do anything where the hair is, but you can do it where the surface of the face is. And all you're going to do is just put literally take a little fine paintbrush and just dip a little cornstarch on it and just lightly brush it, just a barely noticeable powdering on it. You can always take it off, brush it off later. I just think that there's so many different methods to maintaining your latex over the years, but I'm letting this harden up more. One, because I want to be able to smooth it once I get the next casting. When I put more plaster on here, it'll be hard enough to where this won't dent the mask. And you can remember it's still only a foam-filled latex mask under there, so you're making a you're making a new mold from that master copy. Now, I don't have to put burlap on any of these. I don't mess with the burlap. The only time I do my burlap is when it's a master mold. I just take the extra precaution. As long as I make this mask fairly thick, I won't have any problem with the mask, the mold breaking or anything. You're not going to have this mold laying around for too long. Once you've done your 25 or 30 mask, if people really buy this thing up and they really, want this mask, I'm just going to keep on going with it one at a time on eBay, or I don't know what other source I can use. But I'll put it up there, and I'm going to start right away. I'm not going to play around. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do my very first mask for eBay, and then I'm going to take care of the crusher. And then I'll be doing yours, and I'll be doing Jim. I think it's Jim. My buddy Jim. He needs one, and my brother needs one. But my brother doesn't necessarily need it until Halloween anyway. But he's just as anxious to get one of these as you guys are. Trust me. So it's pretty cool. I'm still working on hair. I ordered some raw mohair. Raw meaning shaved right off the animal, and it's a little cheaper. I can get a pound for $20. That's right. On Etsy. I got a pound for $20. Now, it stinks. It's got poop in it. It's got hay in it. It's got all kinds of stuff in it. You got to clean it out. So I don't care. I'll get myself a couple of bins or maybe 5-gallon buckets and wash the hell out of it. But you got to watch you don't mat. I've been doing some video research on that. You don't want to create a matting effect. So you got to make sure that you just wash it. You're not really vigorous trying to wash it. You're doing it very carefully. Just you do it in hot water because it's lanolin that's in mohair that is. It actually is like a skin softener. It acts as a hair softener for the animal, and it's interesting. It was an interesting lessons that I've learned on how to treat the mohair and get it to where it's really nice. But the lanolin melts in real hot water, and then all the dirt, because apparently the dirt doesn't cling to the actual hair on the. It's actually a lamb, or no, it's a goat. It's a goat. It's a specific goat that does the mohair. Anyway, the hair's shinier. It's got a human feature. Looks more human-like. And let's see. So the lanolin, the dirt sticks to the lanolin, and then when the lanolin melts, it all comes to the top, and the stuff is usually just clean as it turns white, pure white, just from doing a couple rinses in hot water. You do boiling water first to really definitely melt it. But I'm looking forward to the whole process. I'm going to do the mask. I'm waiting for my stuff to come in. That should be this week sometime, or maybe by Saturday. I should have my mohair, and then I got to clean it. Maybe I'll share that process too. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what kind of condition the stuff's in when it comes to me. I actually have them. I ordered stuff and I paid the extra to have it washed. So mohair's not that cheap. I can get a pound for, was it 20? I think washed 25. Now, a pound is, it's like 500 grams of hair, which a bag probably, I'm going to say 1 pound, the bag's probably going to be about, I'm going to say about 1.5 feet square. That's about what it'll be. Y'all get 1.5 feet square of mohair. And depends on how dense it is. We'll see. We'll see what it is. Mohair weighs more than a lot of than wool. Wool's very light, but wool doesn't look real to me. I'm just, I mean, I've seen some good jobs on it, but you know, mohair just looks so much nicer. And I want my mask to look the best as I can make it. All right, Jim. Yeah, pipe master. I can never get used to that. Now I didn't make the mask yet. I got to make the larger. See, here's my master mold, the yellow right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to, I still got a couple things to fix on this. I already did the ear. I just have to sand it down in the spots that I fixed. And then from there, I'm going to mold this again, and I'll have a solid mold like this, one piece, and I'll make his mask. I didn't want to keep using that other mask making latex because it kept emptying out. See, right in the middle of my, right here, my vibrating table, when I stuck it in there, it kept leaking out, and I was losing latex like crazy. So latex is too expensive to waste. So once I make a solid one-piece mold, we won't have any problems with. We won't have any problems at all with making the mask. You know, making a nice mask, bubble-free too. The bubbles really affected me in those masks because when it was leaking, you know, when the latex is fresh and it's literally just put into the mold and you got a leak, the latex doesn't stay on the walls on the inside. You need it completely to freeze, no movement inside that mold on those in the mold walls until you get a nice thin layer of hardness against the stone. You know, a thin layer of cured rubber on the latex on the stone. Then it doesn't matter. Over the urethane master, I'll be doing a one piece. I'll be doing a one piece that's foam filled, 31st, and I'll do a one piece mold over that. And if I have to take some of the foam out of it, then I will, to get it out of the mold. You got to remember, I got to bend. I got to pull that face forward and pull it all out of the hole once it comes out. But the neck hole is pretty big, you know, so it's not like you're going to have too big of a problem. But I'll be able to pull that out of there. I've done one already, so I know I've done it already, so I know it's pretty good. So let's see. Yeah, I'm going to. I was going to. I just don't want to risk touching this thing. It's lumpy and stuff, but the next coat I'll be able to smooth out because I'll be able to press on this thing. So when you're doing a latex master copy from a master copy, you're making a mold from a latex master. Remember that the latex is soft. The foam in it doesn't really firm it up that much, and you want that stone to be hard before you start pressing and smoothing out. Like if I was starting to smooth that out right now, well, maybe now it's hard enough. It's probably already cured enough. I'm ready for the next batch of. I'm ready to put more on there. I can tell you right now, I bet you I'm 99% positive this is hard. Yep, it's already hard. It's hard. That's how fast this stuff reacts. Now I just want to make sure that now once I put a couple more coats on, it's nice and thick. I'm going to make a nice thick over top of this. I'll make sure I fill in underneath the chin, so it'll be flush right out to the outside. Everything will be just one big nice flush round, and even the neck area here, that's going to be bulged out a little bit. I want it to be nice and strong around the neck area because that's where you're going to be pulling your mask in and out of. So you want to make sure that the base is really thick and has all the detail. I can still feel it's a little powdery. It's a little powdery, so it's still a little soft. I don't want to go crazy pushing. But by the time I put this next coat on, it should be nice. It should be really nice. All right, let me put the phone on the stand again. Let me see if there's any more comments. Hello, Crusher, Jim, Pipe Master 84, and 31st. You're three. There's somebody else watching too. There's a couple people that watch that don't really comment, but that's okay. You don't always have to comment. You don't have to. You're just watching for fun. Or it might be another artist working and doing things at the same time. I've actually had people say that they were working as I was doing it, they were doing it with me. So that's pretty cool. And sometimes you just can't, like I said, I can't do anything now. I'm going to go mix up my bucket of water. Actually, where did I put that? Oh, it's over there ready. I got the water already ready. I just have to add the plaster and mix it up. And I'm going less with the plaster this time because I made too much last time. It was 24 ounces. I'm down to about 16 to 18 ounces. Let's do this. You guys can talk to each other too, I'll give you a little suggestion. Whenever you talk to somebody, so I know that it's not for me, put the @ symbol to whoever you're talking to. Give it a try, one of you guys. You put the @, say Pipe Master, @Pipe Master, and then put your comment, and you'll see that it'll turn orange. Oh, I'll see it'll turn orange. I'll know who you're not talking to me. So you guys can talk to each other. Don't be scared. It's all nice. Nice to have friends, man. While I can't talk to you guys, talk to each other. Trying not to breathe this stuff in, it's dangerous. I don't know if you guys can see me when I'm sitting in my chair over here right in front of the mold, but I've got to let that saturate before I can mix it. I'm going to wash my hands. It takes about 3-4 minutes. I'm going to make a latex mask today, from when this is done. Yeah, when this is done, I'm going to make a latex mask. Hey! So, I'm just waiting for my plaster to saturate. Always let your plaster saturate, 3 to 4 minutes. When you see the lake bed cracks on the surface, you're completely saturated. That just makes it easier, and it's so much easier to smooth it out. with your hands, because that's what you want to do. You don't mix it with a stick or anything like that. You got to get all the clumps out. I mean, you got to make sure you can feel those clumps. So that's what I do, is I mix it by hand. But when you mix it by hand, you want to make sure it's completely saturated. I guess I can put my glasses on, see what else is going on out there in the world. Oh wow, 20/20 vision. So, yeah, I should be. I'm going to do that master copy tonight too. I think I'm going to get both of them done, so I have the large and the small ready for latex. And once I'm ready for latex, I'm going to make masks and sell them one at a time. I'm going to get you guys taken care of. Jim and or Pipe Master. Gotta get used to your name. Pipe Master and Crusher. And then I got to get my brother done. And there's nobody else yet that I can remember. There was one guy that was doing my video editing, and he just stopped doing it. So I don't know what happened. But one thing I'm probably going to ask you guys to do is pay for the shipping. If you want the mask, I'm probably going to get you guys to pay for the shipping, because it's too much. I already have I got the boxes I need and the stuffing that I need. But if you guys handle the shipping, this way you guys can ship it any way you want. You can actually have it sent overnight if you're that big of a rush. So I was going to include shipping, but shipping right now it's just too much. It's cutting way too far into the budget. It's killing the cost. It's making the prices of everything go through the roof. I never would have thought you're going to spend $60 to ship anything. Now, the one good thing about these masks, they're average about 3 pounds. The box weighs about 3 pounds. So it's not really that heavy. But it is bulky, because I do use a 12-inch square box to ship it. And I stuff the mask real good so it doesn't get messed up. The hair can get matted depending on how the handlers are with the mask. How they handle the package. You just never know. I'm concerned about the Crusher, because you're out in Puerto Rico, and that's a pretty good distance. We'll see what happens as far as what kind of condition. You're going to have to let me know. How did that box show up? I'll show you how I ship it. I'll video it and make sure that you see exactly how I pack it, and I'll show you how it's sent off. I'm curious to how damaged it's going to get between here and there. Yeah, it's terrible. I'm probably going to do that to every customer. It'll be a good policy, because I have the evidence on how it was shipped, and this way, if there's ever a point where you have to make a claim on it, you can. I think, yeah, we're at saturation, guys. It's all gray. Okay, let's mix this up. Nice and smooth. Oh, yeah. So I get most of it off of my hands. Now I go wash my hands in the bucket, because I don't really need to make my hands dirty. Yeah, you guys are always on with me. It's basically the same 3 or 4 people. I think you guys ought to become friends too. You should talk to each other. That's the whole point of all this, Get to know each other. Some of you may know each other already. I don't know, but I guess it's a suggestion. And all you have to do is put the at symbol in front of the yeah, all you have to do is put the at symbol in front of your comment, in front of their name, when you're texting, and it'll turn up orange or some color, so I know that you're not talking to me. Sometimes people talk to each other and they don't put that at on there. And it's sorry. It's a fuzz or something. This whole front of this face has to be one continuous shape. You want it nice and uniform. Make sure you're filling in any kind of air pockets. I'm going to leave a nice clump of clay. I want it so you can't barely tell that there's a nose there. I want the forehead and the chin to be all one. All one. All right, I'm going to go to this other side real quick. I'm going to the back of this. See what's happening here with the chin? Starting to stick. Pulling up the base. That looks good. All right, now I gotta go to the other side, the back side of it. Coming around, coming around. You know what? I'm going to move this just a little bit. Not too harsh. It should be okay. Okay. I still got to put a little bit more around this back of this neck area. This is why I like using Ultra Cal 30, because it sticks to itself. Hydrocal, you have to do the whole thing in one shot. Believe me, you don't want to do that. Now this is nice and hard underneath now. Now I can really smooth this out once I get it to a certain hardness. But I don't want to waste any of this. It's plaster, so I want to make sure I get every drop of it that's in this bucket on here. Now I'm going to go back to the front of this thing. I want to do underneath that chin a little bit extra. And then I'm going to clean my bucket out, wait a few minutes, not long, and then start smoothing this out. And then I want to I love it when a plan comes together. Talk to you guys as this thing's curing. Then we'll move on to the fun part, making a latex mask. Still wants to collapse a little bit. The next batch will take care of all of it. I'm making a very small batch. It won't be a large batch. Okay, so when we clean this, now, you know what? That's second thought. still a little too wet, but I got the large lumps out. That's what I wanted to do. All right, let me clean the bucket and the brush. It's still wet. I just take the brush and I brush the inside of the bucket. Cleans the brush and the bucket at the same time. Better than using your hands because your hands can't get into those tight spots where the plaster along the edge and everything else gets caught up. Oh yeah. Brush is clean. We got way too much water there. Now I want to bring this all the way down to about under 16 ounces. Yeah, I'll do it at 16. 16 ounces will give me a nice fill for that front. But I gotta wait a few more minutes before I can smooth this out with my hands a little better. Just a few minutes, not too long. I just gotta keep touching it to see what happens here. Yep. I definitely don't want to put that in the clean water. Alright, that's gotta be a few minutes. I don't want to take the phone off of there right now because I'm literally going to be doing this in a few minutes here, probably like 2 minutes. This stuff can harden really fast. Oh yeah, figure about 3 coats. It's actually 2.5 coats because the first coat I put on really thick. Not thick in texture, thick in, you know, how much plaster I put on. I put on quite a bit. But I make the plaster pretty runny on the first coat because you want to capture all the detail, every little detail. You know, the runnier it is, the more detail it picks up. Yeah, when I start making the cracks and the little, you know, little things in the 2018 and the kills, that has to be a very runny consistency to grab that, the texture. So this should almost be ready. You know what? I don't have to touch the mask. I'll just touch the base. No, not yet. Not yet. Not yet. That's a nice firm. That's going to be a nice. That'll pull a nice mask out of that, no doubt. It'll pull some really good stuff out of that. No doubt. I think I really got that chin really good. So that's always my concern. The chin's the toughest part because now gravity's not your friend. Where before, when it's a 2-piece mask, I do the back half first after applying the divided wall, and then I lay the sculpture down on top of its head, on the back of its head, and you don't have to worry about the details being lost or something happening in the chin area because gravity is now not an issue. Where this method, gravity is an issue. Getting underneath that chin is a tough. Anything that's any undercuts, you have to make sure that you get the plaster up underneath of it really good. And really look at it well too. I could feel it. I could tell when something separates. So you have to make sure that you really fill it nice. This should be almost done here. Yes. This is it. This is where you want it. Right about here. So let's smooth that one. I did was I just picked up some of this stuff that's loose on the back. I'm going to use this in the neck area. Fill in those little. How nice that is, the base and everything. Now, believe it or not, it's not that hard, but you have to really know your timing is everything when you're making these molds. Timing is everything. Once you realize how your plaster hardens and how it hardens, so to speak, this will get easier for you. When you're first starting out, it's always a learning curve. It really is. Even when I watch videos, it's still a learning curve because you're not getting it in real time. Although now you are. Right now you are. Straight. There it is over there. So try to keep this clean while this is still hardening up. Nice. And always put Vaseline on this. Matter of fact, when I get done here, I'm going to put a little more on there so as I'm scraping this down, cleaning this off, I'm taking the vase off of it, so we don't want to lose our vase. You know what it's like to not have Vaseline on you. Got to have that lube, baby. Now I'm going the extra mile to make it look really, nice for the video, of course. All right, so we're going to let that harden, and I'm going to yap with you guys. You guys are having an interesting conversation. Okay. Oh, look how smooth that's looking, man. See? And I even filled in those, like pulling away from the edge to clean up the edge. The stuff was still soft enough. I got my glasses in my mouth. The stuff was still soft enough to kind of slap it up underneath the chin. You see what I'm going for here now. Now you can see that the chin's going to be very extra supported. You won't have to worry about lack of salt. Because what will happen is if the plaster oversaturates, in other words, when it's pulling moisture out of the latex, the mold does get softer after every pull, and it's because it's absorbing moisture, and that's why you want your mold to be at least 2 inches, maybe 1.5 inches thick. 1.5 inches is good enough. That'll definitely give you 20, and that's only 3 batches. 3 batches of plaster. You know, 4 batches, depending on how thick you put it on. Anyway, let me read your comments here, guys. Oh, cool. Rod Lane, how you doing, buddy? So you're an artist and you're doing your thing at the same time listening to me. I can tell you right now, I'm no expert, but I'm a quick study and I learn as I go, and I just share what I learn. That's all I do. You know, I'm not really, you know, the more people making these masks, I guess the better. Who cares? You know, it always comes down to whether you're a good artist or you're not. You know, that's really what it comes down to. So showing people the secrets makes no difference to me at this point. I can show them what I'm learning. That's not going to make everybody be able to sculpt a mask. You know, it's the one way you look at it. So on the positive side of things, I know that half of you out there won't be able to, and I'm not trying to be, half of the people can't really do, you know, sculpt, you know, just like some people can't draw. You can learn the techniques, but it still doesn't help your eye. You either have an eye or you don't. Although I've heard artists say you can learn perspective and everything. Yeah, and that's really the key. You have to learn perspective. But it takes time. Even if you're really not that good, you know, you have to invest a lot of time in practice. But if you're naturally born with a talent, you're leaps and bounds ahead of everybody. But I like to share what I know. You know. Rod Lane, yes sir, buddy. I'm gonna have to check you out. Am I friends with you? I think I am. I want to check out your channel. You have a channel up? And I try to make friends, especially with all the artists. And if I can help them, I help them. If they can help me, I hope they can help me. Crusher. Do you pure work on YouTube, Rod? Oh, okay. Well, you got a lot of catching up to do, Rod. Yeah, I'm on Facebook. Look under Custom Corpses. I don't really do too much posting on there. I gotta update that. I just been so busy trying to get the molds done. But I'm on Custom Corpses. You can also look at me up under my real name. It's John Hickman, and in parentheses, it's AKA DJ Styles with 2 Y's. So that's my real Facebook, you know, page. So you can reach me on there too. I have 2 pages. I have my personal page and my maybe I shouldn't share that on the video, but I don't give a damn. I got thick skin, baby. I don't worry about what people say or do or anything. I just do what I got to do, and I try to help people, and that's all I try to do. I'm very political on my personal page, and I don't care. It's opinions, you know, and opinions are like buttholes. We all have one. So anyway, just I don't want to talk about politics on my channel here. If you want to talk politics, we'll talk on Facebook. If not, we don't have to talk about politics. I'm not one of these guys that I don't ram it down people's throats or. Just been around a long time. I'm 60 years old and I've seen a lot of good times compared to today. Let's just say that. Seen a lot of good times compared to today, and I feel bad. I have kids, and that are now young adults that are struggling, because of the way things are being run. So anyway, that's who I worry about. Me, I'm 60. I don't care now what happens. Yeah, it's true. Positive always works out. It's always better to be positive than negative. The problem is we have news sources that aren't telling the truth, and a lot of people are starting to learn the truth now. Just over the last 2 years, and now a lot of them, and I know some friends that are personal, are wishing they could roll back the time and change their vote. But it is what it is, and I don't blame them because they were lied to. I don't blame them, and I say welcome aboard. Good. Now you see what's going on. We need to fight back. We got to get this thing going. But I don't want to talk about politics. I want to get off of that. Positive, positive, positive. So, so what else is happening, guys? Anything else? That's for sure. Positivity always outweighs everything else. It really does. And at this age, I want to be positive. That's the real thing. I want to be positive. I'm 60 years old. I'll be lucky if I make 80. With the heart condition and all the things that I have. If I live to 80, that'll be like a miracle. But how do I want to spend them years? Do I want to spend them being negative and mean and upset and pissed off? At worst case scenario, we only have it for 2 more years. So I don't want to. I don't. It's not going to live there. I'm just going to do what I do, and hopefully things change. And be positive. Talk about things that you really enjoy. I love sculpting. I love mask making. This is really a new passion for me. Love it. So, I'm pretty clear by what I've said on my opinions on everything. So you know where I stand. But it's not an uneducated opinion. It's 60 years of living and seeing good versus bad. Good things, good times versus bad times. So, with that being said, no more politics, and let's go on to. Lost my train of thought. We should be pretty hard now. We should be ready for the next coat. I'm going to do one final coat on this thing, and then call it a mold, and then we're going to do a latex mask, and we'll have that sucker right in that vibrating table. But I want to wait a little bit. I have to wait a little bit before I can make a latex mask. I might have to wait a couple hours. Got to make sure that this is completely dry. But once I get this mold done, within about a half hour, I'll be able to pull the latex mask out of it, and I'll show you that process. Real simple, pretty easy. UltraCal 30, yes I am. You can't, HydroCal, you can't layer it. That's why I don't like using HydroCal. I take my time. I don't rush things. I really take my time when I do this stuff. If this was HydroCal, I would not be able to go and put another coat on this, because HydroCal, once it's cured, it won't stick to itself. So I use UltraCal 30, and it's the only plaster I recommend using. If you can do one mold all at once, If you have the strength and time and energy, I don't have that kind of strength, time, or energy. I get too winded, too tired. I'm getting old, and I'm way overweight. But I've been fighting that. I've been on diet and everything, and doing good with it. But you know, I just uh, I just got to spend my energy wisely, and I'm all about doing things easy. I like it easy. So let me put this phone back up, mix some more plaster, put the final coat on, wait about an hour, maybe 2 hours, then I'll come back. Yeah, I mean, even if you're young and you're healthy, do you want to really rush this process? Look at it this way, especially if you have the late or the especially if your mold, your actual sculptures under there. Yes, I did. Here it is right here. There's the urethane copy. That gets molded next as a one-piece mold. Let me turn it. That's the urethane copy. See how big that is compared to this? Well, you can't now, but because the stones on it, it's almost the same size. But there's a huge difference because that's the actual size of the original sculpture. That is the size of the clay sculpture, and that's the reason why you want to make a urethane copy is because you don't get the shrinkage you do when you make a latex master. I make two different masters. I make a urethane master to keep the original size, and I make a, a, a latex master so I can shrink my mask down to the sizes. I have two sizes. There'll be a large one from here, and that's roughly about 27 inches. When it shrinks completely down, 26.5 inches will be the size of that mask pulled from that actual mold. And the shrunk one will be anywhere from 20, or the smaller version will be anywhere from 24.5 to 25.5 inches, depending on how thick the latex is. The thicker you make your latex mask, the more it shrinks. Just remember that. So on the smaller version, I plan on making probably thinner casted masks. I don't want to make it too thick, because if I make it real thick, it'll shrink up too much and you'll end up with a mask you can't wear, and it'll look ridiculous on your shelf because it's too small. So the Trick or Treat Studios 2018 mask was a 24-inch diameter mask. This mine will be 25 to 25 and a half, 24 and a half to 25 and a half, anywhere's in that general vicinity. After it's completely cured over like a month, takes that long for the latex to really shrink up completely. Sometimes even longer than that. And you have to be extra careful about how you treat your latex mask, because if you let it shrink up too much, or let it not shrink up, if you don't take care of it properly, the shrinkage could even be worse. So that's what I've been learning as I've been going. I've got some masks that feel like they're a little stiff and harder because I didn't treat them, but then these were throwaway sample masks, and I experimented to see exactly how they were going to react without being treated. I wanted to see how good the quality of the latex was. It's okay. I've never had great latex because it's the only latex I've ever used. I don't know the difference. So if you guys out there know a better latex, tell me about it. I'm getting my stuff from Brick in the Yard in Texas. That's the latex I get. Okay, so I'm gonna put this back on the thing. We're gonna put the final coat on this. I see you guys jumping off of here, losing people. So let's get busy. Oh yeah, that's nice. It's nice and soft. That's where we want to be. And the reason why you want your plaster mold to not have any jagged spots on it. It's because then you don't have to worry about your hands getting, you know, torn up when you're handling the mold. You don't want your hands being all torn up. Okay, so back at it. Let's make some plaster. Let it saturate, and we're going to get busy. Oh yeah. I keep all my plaster in 5-gallon buckets with lids, so I don't have to worry about the plaster going bad. Whatever you do, don't breathe this stuff in. A little bit more, not much. Okay. Now, we just need to let that saturate. Clean my hands, close my bucket, because I'm done with the plaster today. I don't know, I might do the other one. I have to, I'm gonna video that a little bit too, guys. I'm gonna sand down the spots on the urethane master. And when I sand that down, you'll see that process. And I'll explain what I did to it. I had to rush because I had to put more urethane on it, on the defected areas, before it cured. So I didn't get the video of that. But you'll see, and I'll explain what I did, and you'll see me sand it. I'll do that later on. And then maybe tomorrow I'll do the master of the large mask. Depending on how I feel. All right. That's sealed up. Because believe it or not, this process is easy. This is not hard at all. This when you're yeah, that feels warm. Yeah, so it's still not saturated yet. Ooh, just a little spot left over. That quick. It's saturating fast, and that has a lot to do with the humidity in the air too. That helps. It's humid out here today. Breezy and humid, and warm. So that's a nice looking mold. That's a really nice looking mold that I have there. Yes, sir. And I'll show you how I treat this thing underneath of it once I go to pull it out. You'll see. You'll see the whole thing. I'm going to fill in those little spots on the side, on the base of the mask that's facing you. So there's little. The other side's nice and smooth. I can show you that. I'll show you that when I sit down with the camera. The other side's right where I want it. But that's nice. It's still got some work to do. That's because I was working on this side, but I wasn't on that side. That's going to even out right after this saturates. And I think I'm at saturation. All but a little tiny bit. I usually wait. I take that extra few minutes and I wait for that to completely saturate. It just makes it so much easier to mix by hand when it's completely saturated. The stuff that's dry, if it's still dry, it doesn't want to, it becomes, you get these little marbles. They're like little air bubbles of dry plaster. And once you let it saturate, you don't have that issue. And it's nice and easy to mix. Now it's already that fast. It went from the size of a quarter down to nothing. It's almost completely saturated. Done. Now, mix. Wow. Nice and smooth. Right, it's like thinner than peanut butter, but really creamy. That's why I like my, and never add water to plaster. Always plaster to water. Those of you that are in this business, you do know that already. I'm talking to people that are just trying it out. Plaster, you always put the amount of water that you're going to use. I never put more than 24 ounces of water at a time. 16 to 24 ounces is what I found the perfect amount to work with, especially with ultra cal. I'm just cleaning my hand off with my sculpture and my mold. Why waste it, right? So, back over to the bucket, clean my hands off. I have a clean bucket of water and a dirty bucket of water. I pull my clean water for my plaster. And my dirty bucket is when I wash my hands or if I'm making fabric to put on this, like a burlap. I'll soak that into the, I'll soak that in. Now I'm going to mix that a little bit better. I'm going to make sure I get the bottom real good with the brush. Just go the extra mile, that's all. And I'm going to make sure we fill in, smooth out nicely. Around the base especially. The ear. Make that completely smooth and even. Real cockeyed here. I can move this thing now, so I can do it like this. Let's see. So this side looks good. I'm going to get into this neck area real good because it needs more plaster in here. On the back of the neck, it's a little concave, a little too much for me. And I already kind of know it's not thick enough. Yeah, I'm doing the old-fashioned spinneroo here. Adding that thickness to the back of the neck because it's a little too thin. And it's all about absorption. I want the stone to absorb as much moisture as possible and last a while. I want to, give me 20, 25 masks, maybe more. How do I know how much is on here? I kind of don't perfectly know, but I have a general idea just by the base shape of the mask. The shape of it's telling me what's kind of on here. You get used to it. There's things that you learn. And the thing I'm learning right now is I'm going to get this section right here, all kinds of nice little air pockets. Have to be addressed. And I want to make sure I push it into those air pockets. Yeah, UltraCal really is such an amazing product. I love it. I wouldn't use another product. Not me. I don't have time to spend on learning every little thing. You know what I mean? You don't. And I always constantly work on keeping it clean. I made this mix a little thicker. I want to make sure I get into this face area real good. You gotta love it. I look at it this way. I played with my favorite toy when I was a kid was dirt. And here I am as an old man playing with dirt again. Gotta love it. Now I'm making sure that these eye areas are really thick. I'm going to cover this nose just a little bit better than the nose is. And around the chin. Using it all, baby. No sense in having burlap, not when you already have your master done. I only do that when I'm doing the master copies. Add the burlap. If you can't take care of a hard plaster mold without dropping it or breaking it or something like that, then you might want to add plaster or burlap to it if you're worried about dropping it. That's it. Let me spin it around once. See, by smoothing out that last coat, let me clean the bucket. Smoothing out that last coat made it easier to fill the holes and, you know, the imperfections. Clean. Brush is clean. That's the way to do it. Now I didn't waste anything with the none of the tools. I kept my brush and I kept my clean bucket. Now I'm going to scrape off the remainder of the stuff that got on here. And that's why you want to keep Vaseline. Well, see, now I should have put the Vaseline down on this thing. Let me clean this off. Oh, I didn't know that was on there. Piece of rubber. Get that off. Okay. So I'm going to do this with my hand so it's nice and smooth. Started sucking the moisture out of it. I love it. All right, gotta clean my hands before I touch that wall. It's still not quite dry enough to do this final smoothing, but I'm getting all the lumps, any kind of lumps that are in there. And also it helps if you wet your hands once it gets down a little drier. I'm going to wait just a little longer. We will be able to make small masks. Most of you want the small mask. All right, I'm going to wait a few minutes here, and I'll smooth it out, and then I'll end this video, and then I'll be back in 2 hours to demold it. I just take the precautionary, I don't like to cleans off really good as long as you keep Vaseline on there. Now what I did was that bed liner stuff is what I put on this thing, hoping that the wood wouldn't warp when I had to use water. But it worked. Okay, it's getting better now. Yeah, this is where we want to be. Okay. Smooth it out, baby. Get these chunks out of there. No sharp edges. I could whack off the little tiny ones that are sticking out on some spots. Just a slight little pull on the hammer is all. Little smack. But the majority of this I will really smooth it out. And then when this really dries up just a little bit more, I'll smooth it even more. See, that's even more. That's a good sign there. Mold broke free already from the base, which is perfect. We want that because there's the face. You're looking dead on at it. That's a nice looking mold, guys. And I won't have to worry about cutting my hands when I'm handling it. I'll let that dry for a few more minutes and then smooth it even more. It'll be like taking off the little powder, little lines, the little tiny lines. I'll be able to smooth them right out with my hands. Wait a few minutes. Especially with this nice breeze out here. Yeah. Yeah, this is a nice mold. This turned out nice. Now you remember when we first put this mask on the table, and I'll show you with the other one. You want to make sure that the neck is just a little bit off the surface of the table, because you don't want the neck being folded or rippled or anything like that because of the weight of the pressure. You want to make sure that you have, and I'll show you what's underneath of this and how I created it and all that fun stuff. Simple. Yeah, I'm going to leave the phone right where it's at until I smooth this out completely in the next few minutes, and then I will end the video. I'll talk to you guys. I want to read your comments first, and then we'll end the video, and then I'll come back in 2 hours, and we will demold this. We will take the latex master, foam master out of the head. And you'll see how that's done. Simple. Super simple. Super simple. That's positive thinking. Not saying nothing can go wrong. It's just positive thinking. Let's see, what else? That's pretty much it. That's how you do a mold. That's how you make a mold from your latex master copy that shrunk up from its original size. So this way you have a smaller, and the more you do this, like if I make another master, which would be stupid because it might fit a baby by the time we're done. But you can make shrunken heads out of this. If I just keep doing that process and keep going down, 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 I can make heads the size of a quarter if I want. I don't know how deformed the mold will start to look over, when you shrink it down that much. That's an experiment though. I might do that somewhere down the road just for fun, just to see how far down I can get a mask to look super detailed. I wonder how far I can take it. That'd be cool. It'd be interesting to know. Interesting to know. But each time I do that, I have to foam fill it because you can't do it without the foam in the mask. You have to have foam inside your master copy latex mask because otherwise you won't have enough support. Unless wait a second. There it is. That's what I was waiting on. Alright, so I think I'm ready for this. Let me see. Yep. Look at this. Look at that. Smooth as a bowling ball. That's where it's at. See, I'm just so used to, I'm kind of gotten used to how this plaster dries. So I kind of know when to do it. Even those little spots where it looks like there's a hole, you can smooth that out because the plaster's still a little soft. Not soft, but what's the right word? It's not completely cured, I don't know. This is hard enough to lift up to show you what's underneath. See? Now right around the edge of the mask, I'm probably going to have to smack that with a little tiny hammer. Oh yeah. Down there. No, I'm not going to be able to fill them neat as long as it's not sharp. That's all I care about. Is when I grab this thing, I don't feel like I'm grabbing a sharp. Like these little edges here, I can just knock them down. They're from underneath. So there's one right here, one right there. That's pretty sharp. I'll just smooth that down with a piece of sandpaper. Any little high spots. Yeah, that's if you want to go the extra mile and make a really pretty mold. There you go, guys. That's how pretty it is. It's pretty. So I can always sand down. I can always sand it down later. Any spots that I, feel like I'm getting snagged on or whatever. So once this dries, we'll have a nice sculpture. Did it again. Touched it. All right, now I'm going to take my little air compressor. Instead of touching it with my hands, act like you got a brain, blow it off. Believe it or not, that just took off all the dust. That's okay. It's already kind of not even warm anymore, so it's almost cured. Alright, so let's check out what your opinion on this whole thing is. Here, I'll get a close-up of it. Look how smooth that is. Steve, it just sometimes it's hard, sometimes it's easy to get the urethane mold or off, or should I say demold the urethane. Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's hard. Because in the face area, I always make my urethane copy. Boy, I don't even know if you guys heard that. Okay. My urethane copy, it varies. Sometimes it's hard to get it out of the mold, sometimes it's easy. But I found the trick that works pretty good for me. And if emergency situation, I can always take a little more foam, that foam fill that's inside the mask, out. And, if I have to refoam it later, I can do it, I don't know though, this stuff's so thick you don't need to, as long as you have the piece in there, as long as there's enough foam to hold the dowel rod in there. And then you can make sure that the dowel, and I'll show you what I'm talking about once I demold this in about 2 hours. I'm going to be back out here and I'm going to demold this, and you'll see what I do for the underneath part to support the mask inside the mask. It keeps the neck from actually touching the surface. I keep the surface of the neck about a 1/4 inch off the table, and then I just let the plaster fall down around it. 1/4 inch you can chip right off when you go to demold it. It's simple to do. You'll see. You'll see. So let me read your comments. Crusher, yes, it's nice and smooth, Rod. Yeah, you know how to do this. You make masks, right? So Okay, so we're pretty much caught up on what you guys have been talking. And look, I said it earlier. I'm going to say it again. You guys can talk to each other on here. You're all part of this family. And why I say that is because a lot of you guys are always on with me, and you should get to know each other because there's other artists on here. Rod Lane, you're another artist. Check out his stuff. See what he's making. Um, we as artists, I purchase masks from other people too. I collect as well. Some people, at first I wasn't going to, but you know what? Why not? Got to support the air. You got to support the fellow artists. So I'll buy from other artists like Nick Malpagano. I like his stuff. I love Nag. Nag's maskers. That's amazing. What is this? Um, so, um, yeah, his name is Rodney Parm. And check out him. Go check out what he does to, like he has Nag masks. I don't think he makes any masks, but he overhauls them. And he's an amazing artist when it comes to painting and herring. So I find, I'm sorry, I'm getting messages on here from another source. And I'm just trying to read them real quick, and I'll get back to that person later. So anyway, yeah, yeah. I find that this when you're making a two-piece mold, you got to move. You got to move faster. You don't have time to really do all the smoothing out. At least I'm not that good yet. I'm still working on that process of getting real good with the two-part molds. It's obvious because the last mold I thought I had really nailed, and it leaked like a sieve. So I ended up claying the walls around the edge to make sure that it didn't leak. What a nightmare. But this one piece mold, easy. It's easier. And I don't use the burlap because I already did the masters. The only time I do burlap is when I'm doing the master copies, and the master copies are always two-piece molds. You really can't get that clay out of your mold with this one-piece mold. It's impossible. And you saw that process. There's a video on that, on demolding it. Okay, so anything else, guys? Any other questions? Oh, really? So Rod, you work in urethane? Is that what or urethane and probably silicone? Or do you use uh, the resin? How do you make your molds? I want to get that. I just want to learn the resin thing. But see, when you're doing resin molds and you're using latex in the resin, the only way you can do it is slush casting. And correct me if I'm wrong. I like the dwell cast because I'm lazy. In other words, you put the thing upside down, you fill it up with, yes, yeah, silicone molds. I mean, they capture the detail the best. If I was doing something that had a lot more detail than Michael Myers, I think I would put a urethane mold over top of it and then plaster it, and then make my. But see, you can't. I'd have to figure out. There's a way to do it, but I have to figure out. You have to make a. Well, you have to make it out of resin. Yeah, so you make your master out of resin, and then from there you can slush cast your Yeah, you have to slush cast your what do you call it? Your your molds, because a resin mold doesn't absorb moisture. And there's two different ways to make a latex mask in a mold. Slush casting is when you're taking, say you got say you got a gallon of latex or under a gallon, and you just don't have enough to do a dwell casting, because when you dwell cast, you have to fill the whole head up all the way to the top of the neck. And then you let it sit for 2 hours, about 2 hours, and then pour the remainder back out into the bucket. And what remains is a nice, evenly thickness casting of your mold. When you do a slush casting, the thickness can vary. You know, if you're not careful. See, slush casting, although you don't have the bubble problem with the slush casting, so that's a good thing. I mean, you can get it, but it's not nearly as bad. You just got to be careful. I want to watch a couple of your videos doing your slush casting. I want to see your method, Rod. Hopefully, you have videos up doing it. Rod Lane. I'm definitely going to be looking you up on YouTube later on this afternoon. As soon as I'm done demolding this and I pour a mask for 2 hours, I'm gonna see what it looks like on the inside. It has to be completely white before I can make a mask. Okay, I'll definitely hit you up on Facebook. Are you under the same name, Rod Lane? Send me your Facebook link. Um, Definitely. And add me as a friend too, because I'm on there. Oh, Steve, that's awesome, because I mean you're the same. You're roughly probably around the same age as me. I'm 60. You're 55. At least it's time is 55 years. So yeah, it's crazy, man. There's the small mask mold. I had a lot of people on here at one point. It was like 6, 7 people. Other artists are also watching. All right, Rod, I'm waiting for your link. Steve from the UK, send me your Facebook contact too. Nice and smooth. Check out how smooth that is, man. Feel that. That's dry now. That's hard. It's hard. What'd you do today? Anything cool?
No,
Real shit show today?
no, nice.
Huh?
It was nice.
Hold on. I can't see the link on here. I don't think they're allowing you to show it on here. It doesn't show the link here. Look me up under John Hickman, Hickman, and in parentheses it's DJ Styles with 2 Y's, and then throw a friend request, and I'll definitely go on there later on this afternoon after I get this stuff out of the way and done. You know, I'm not really sure, Steve. I think I am. Yeah, I think I am. Cool. You got me already. That's cool. I'll definitely add you as a friend, Rod. Member of Latex Mass Central Facebook. I think I am. I think because I kind of added myself to a lot of those uh, pages. Yeah, I hope you show Rod. I hope you show some of your process with your resin mold making. If not, start sharing it. Show people what you do, man. It's the only way you can build your YouTube channel. So anyway, I'm looking to build my YouTube channel over the next couple of years. So therefore, I have a little extra income coming in. I'm going to be retiring at 62. I'm not waiting around. God knows if I live long enough to enjoy any of my retirement, but I'm retiring at 62. And I'm going to have that extra income, and I'm preparing for that. I'm not going to retire from this. I'm going to keep going until I can't do it anymore. I'll look you up on, I think I'm a member to that. I do. I think I'm a member to that Latex Mass Central on Facebook. I'll definitely look you up if I can find you on there. Steve. Steve UK. Crusher, you still there? I'll check that out, Steve. Type in the tall man from Phantasm. Send friend request. I will do, sir. I definitely will. Check you guys out. Steve and Rod Lane. And anybody else want me to go check out their Steve UK and Rod Lane. Well, Rod Lane, you already sent me a friend request. So when I go in there and get on Facebook, I'll be hitting you, adding you as a friend. I'm getting tired. I shouldn't be this tired, but I know what it is. I had a little bit of the wacky tobacco earlier. I have bad back, real bad back. I have 9 vertebrae fused. And today I got up and I couldn't move. So I have the prescription marijuana under doctor care. And I took a hit just to take off the edge. And it works, and it doesn't make me goofy, at least, as long as I don't overdo it. And I don't like to overdo it because I don't like feeling high. I don't like that feeling at all. So, some of you may like it, but for me, it makes it hard for me to focus. I have a hard time focusing on work because everything I do it takes a lot of focus. I mean, as an artist, yeah, you guys that are artists, when you're an artist, you have to focus. You have to be able to really focus on what you're doing and pay attention to every detail. And high as a kite, no, that doesn't work. Nope. Too random. I get all these random thoughts and my head goes in a million different directions when I'm high on that stuff. So, and you're talking to somebody that never did drugs in his life. Not until I had to. And that's only been the last 2 years. So, and I won't take narcotics. Not a chance in hell. I have too many friends that are dead from them. Um, so, I never heard of anybody dying from marijuana. Hippie lettuce, whatever you want to call it. So, and actually, there's a lot of benefits with it. So, I'm a pretty high strung person. All right, I'm going to jump off of here, guys. We're going to wait about 2 hours, and I'm going to come back and I'm going to demold this. I'm going to take the latex mask out. Yes, it is very true. You know what I'm talking about, Rod. You have to be able to focus, and marijuana does not allow. At least it doesn't work that way for me. It makes me scatterbrained. I just cannot focus on any one thing. At least I just so random. I'm all over the place, and and it's not even about talking about what I'm doing. It's my thought patterns. They just get really random and quick. I go from one thing to the next to the next to the next, whether it be memories or something I'm doing right at that moment. I was like, when I'm talking about when I'm really high, though, right now I'm just a little dizzy if I move my head too fast this way or that way, but I don't feel stupid. I don't feel like, goofy. So, but it's just enough to take the edge off. And all it takes is one hit of that medical marijuana, and it really knocks out the pain. No, neither am I. I was never into drugs. Life itself was always gave me a high. I used to be a runner. You wouldn't know by the way I look now, but I used to run between 6 to 10 miles every other day, and then hit the gym in between. And then I developed an arrhythmia with my heart when I was in the best shape of my life, and I had to stop. They told me I had to stop running. They couldn't figure it out. I kept breaking into arrhythmia every couple of months. They kept changing my medication. It took them 5 years to balance my medication, and it finally worked. Once they found the right stuff. But meanwhile, I'm gaining weight. I'm getting, yeah. I'm not. This isn't a pity party. I'm not saying it to let you guys know. But it's just that it's so funny. I think the end of this story, basically, what it comes down to, is my best laid plans were shattered. I planned on being a runner for the rest of my life. I planned on keeping my body in great condition for the rest of my life. And it didn't happen. It's funny because my father was real big and got real fat and heavy when he was in his 30s. And I swore up and down. Now, I made it to the age of 35 before this problem developed on me with the arrhythmia. And it's almost like, I guess the moral of the story is eat right, drink right, stay fit, and die anyway. Oh, God. Eat right. That's my new philosophy. That's actually my old philosophy, but my philosophy now is eat right, drink right, stay fit, and die anyway. So, we're not going to beat death. There's two things in this life we can't beat, and that's taxes and death. So, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. So, my thing is, the only thing I care about is I don't care about my waistline. I don't care if I'm fat. I don't care as long as I feel good and I feel healthy. And if I can keep working. Because that's my enjoyment. What I do for a living between DJing and this, that's what I love it. It's not work to me. It's a passion. Both of them are a passion. I am going to retire from DJing at some point. Because I just, I can't move the gear anymore. It's just too heavy for me. I have to get a roadie. I just don't, damn it. I don't need that now. So let me go unplug my back hurts. All right, that's my pancake compressor. Cheap one I got at Home Depot. But that's another thing. When you're making molds, keep a dirty water And keep it clean water. Never do this stuff in your sink, because you will destroy your plumbing. Plaster and plumbing do not get along. Okay, I'm going to read your comment because it popped up and then disappeared on me really quick. So I'll be coming back out here to the Dremel to Dremel the master copy of the master mold, or the sculpture. The urethane, I'll actually repair that. Let me see what you said there, Jim. Or Rod. And that's how I feel. I'd be dead without it. Because there's no enjoyment. I'm not a TV guy. I mean, I do like my movies, don't get me wrong. I love watching a good horror movie, and I love B movies. But the older I get, the more I get in front of that TV, and I just fall asleep. No matter what it is, I have to catch it at the right time. I can't be ready to go to bed and watch TV too, because I just literally fall asleep in 5 minutes. But if I'm fairly awake and I get in front of that TV for a little bit, I'll put on a horror movie every time. I'm just a horror fanatic, either that or sci-fi. I love the old 50s sci-fi movies because, I grew up with that stuff. These kids today, they got it made, man. They got so much to choose from. When I was a kid, all we had was those 50s horror movies in the 70s. Saturday rainy afternoon, they would put, what was it called? Chiller. It was Chiller. I'll never forget the hand that came up out of the swamp, and it had 6 fingers. And it would drop, in the beginning of the show, it would drop each letter, and it would spell out Chiller, and you'd have this creepy Chiller. You can actually look it up on YouTube. It's there. Look up Chiller or Thriller. I'm not sure which one. I think it was Chiller. CH. Look that up and watch that video. Chiller, I guess you want to call it the Chiller opening. I don't know. Monster movie opening. They used to have that on the 70s TV shows. And back in the 70s, all that they had were the 50s and 60s horror pictures. So if you eliminate everything from the 70s, yeah. So look it up on YouTube. It's fun. It's fun to see those kind of things, flashbacks. I'll tell you, I'm from the Philadelphia region area. That's considered my neighborhood. And there was a guy, what was his name? You can find him on there too. He used to host a monster show, like a monster movie show, just like Joe Bob Briggs does. This guy used to do it, and he used to get all made up and look like a vampire. What was his name? Oh, man. Oh, come on. I'll keep trying to think of it while I'm talking to you. Oh, man. But he was on Philadelphia Channel 17 back in the 70s. And he used to have his daughter come on all the time, his young little daughter. And, yeah. You can find a few videos on him too. But in the 70s, my point of the story is that we had a lot less to watch. If you weren't watching a Hammer horror movie, you were watching Sinbad, or you were watching creature feature movie sci-fi flicks from the 50s and 60s. They were always running on those TV shows on a rainy Saturday afternoon when they used to care about people and used to care about the kids not having anything to do. They knew that they were stuck in the house. We didn't have computers. We didn't have video games. We didn't have any of that. Our favorite toy was dirt, and our imagination. And we never lived in the house. We were always outside. So, yeah, that's true. I'm not joking about that. That's how it really was. You were never in the house. My kids never went out of the house. They were always on the computers, and my son was always learning how to. He's actually into computers and working with it as for a living, and he works at Yale. Get that, guys? He works at Yale, and he works on their computer stuff there as a full time. Got a nice full time job there. He lives in Connecticut. He just moved there back in March, so he's got his life underway. He's 27 years old, and he's got a nice girlfriend, probably going to become his wife at some point. Don't know for sure, but we'll see how that plays out. But my point is, the kids, in some ways they have it better, and in some ways they don't have it better. We played a lot more sports. We were a lot more active, physically, a lot more physically fit all our lives. Our immune systems were stronger compared to, the kids today. And the obesity, you might have had 1 or 2 fat kids in the entire school. And I'm not joking about that. There might have been 3,000 kids in that school, and there might have been 2 or 3 fat kids. That's it. Yeah, I'm glad I'm not a kid either. Well, I guess you wouldn't notice the difference if you were raised in this condition, but having the knowledge I had of being back in those 70s and 60s, man, I would have missed out on so much that I used to do. I lived on a barrier island where they had a boardwalk and the beach, and I used to swim in the back bays. I ended up being a scuba diver, a lifeguard. I played semi-pro football. I also was taught how to high dive and work out on a trampoline for high diving. My highest dive in that pool was about 45 feet up. My highest dive of all was about 70 feet. But that was on a cliff, a little different, off of a lake. Many, 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 many years ago. And after my stint with the high diving, I got bored with it. Don't ask me how, but I got bored with it. And I started learning how to scuba dive, and I just love scuba diving. I fell in love with it. I'm a fish out of water. And now I'm a whale out of water. Oh, God. But I got my pool in the back. We're opening it this Saturday. I never open it too early because in this region, the nights can still be a little chilly. And I usually wait until about the second week of June to open it up. Oh, hello, bird. He's sitting right there on the end of the post there. I don't think you guys can see that. It's kind of blended in. There he is. Making some noise, are you? You don't like me being out here, do you? Your nest is right up here. I know. Everybody nests up in my ceiling here. They all have their nests. And he's right in the soffit, out on the soffit in one of these holes. And he's looking at me. Here he goes. So he's getting up on that wire. He's up. There he goes. And he's checking me out. He's watching me like a hawk. Birds are funny. I got barn swallows over here to my left. This side, right up on that side. And they're nesting over there. And everybody's like, well, why do you let them nest? I don't care. You know what? I'm out here with nature. Oh, it is. It's great. It's a little messy out here. I don't usually keep it this messy. I try to get it. The reason why this is all butchered up and destroyed is because we have a septic bed that used to be right here, and I had to move it all the way out. And we put a new bed in and ran the pipe out further into the yard. So we had to cut this section of deck off. It used to be a 16 by 16 foot section that was right there. It was all out. But I'm thinking about putting a patio there. We're going to cut those boards back. I'm going to fix this deck even better, level it out. But that's going to be in the fall. And then I'm going to coat this with a really good coating so it protects the wood forever. But what else am I doing? What else am I doing? Oh, well, we got to fix the deck. I'm going to make this a patio area, I think, right here. And I might make a fire pit, a really nice big fire pit right here that's going to have barbecue ability on it. So you'll be able to barbecue, and I actually want to make a pit in the center where I can roast a half pig, so I can do some pig roast and stuff like that, if I ever get to it. I had to get these master molds done, and now I'm going to get this. I'm focused on getting these done over this next 2 or 3 or 4 months. And then after that, it's time to focus on the property and just making the masks, and every once in a while I'll do the molds. And I'll be sculpting different things too later on down the road. Do I want to get into all the prop making and all that stuff? No, I don't want to make this more than I can handle. It's everything I can handle just doing what I'm doing. I can't stretch myself out so thin where I can't get nothing done. So right now I'm taking off for the summer from DJing. It's the first time in 45 years that I've taken off like this, but it needed to happen. I needed to break, and I needed to focus on this mask business. That's really where the future is for me. I'm not going to be doing the DJing much longer. I don't want to do it for much longer. So anyway, and it was hit and miss. It wasn't solid 45. It's like you can't even keep track of how many days, when you worked, when you don't. So it's just that you're in a resort area. We need summer dollars. So it's a really nice chill out area. It is chill. It's nice in the breeze. Look at the wind kicking. You can see all the trees blowing around. You can hear it. Nice and breezy out here today. In the summer months, you get into July, it gets to 130 degrees on this deck sometimes. And I'm not exaggerating. I had a thermometer out here one day, and in the direct sunlight, it was 130. And the air was still, oh my God. I'd jump in the pool, and the pool was 90 degrees, but it still felt cooler than the air. So I'd jump in the pool, cool down a little bit, come out here for about 5 minutes, get a little work done, and then bang, right back to sweating. So I also planned on cutting the grass today, but I'm going to get the mold done instead. I'm going to get that. I'll get the grass cut tomorrow. Yep. I want to get the grass cut tomorrow. My back's a little tight, so I don't want to drive around in that tractor and bounce around on it. That's really the reason why I'm kind of like, let me just wait. All right, guys, I'm going to say goodbye for about an hour now. I can wait about an hour. About an hour, I'll be back to demold this. And even if you don't catch me live, it uploads the video. I've been on for an hour and 55 minutes. Okay, sounds good. Rod, I'll see you then. I'll add you as a friend on Facebook, and then we'll see what we can see. I don't put too much on my regular page, but on my I don't really use Facebook too much for my mold making, and maybe I should. I'm really trying to grow the YouTube channel, but I'll share the YouTube videos on Facebook. That's what I should do. And I just haven't had time. As soon as I get to where I'm done with the molds and I can start making these latex masks, I'm going to start sculpting again, but at the same time working on posting my videos on other platforms and make people go to my channel to watch them. That would be the best thing to do for me, I think. But my voice, I've been talking so much, I'm hoarse. So I'm going to jump off of here, and I hope to see you guys on here a little later on this afternoon when I demold this. I'll see ya. Peace. Remember to hit the like, subscribe, Instagram as well. Yes, I want to do Instagram. And I also want to do TikTok clips for TikTok. I'll see you later too, man. All right. Peace. Yeah, hit the like, the subscribe, especially the like button. Everybody likes the like button. YouTube loves the like button. Notification bell. It'll let you know when I'm on. All right. Peace. See you in an hour.